I thought about telling you that we're in the car this week because it's the road to Emmaus, and so we're on a journey. But I decided instead I needed to be honest. The adrenaline rush that pushed me all the way through the first weeks and that pushed me all the way through Easter was absent starting about Easter Monday. And I think it's the same for everybody in my house. My kids and my husband are all trying to Zoom and do work from home and school work from home, and the townhouse is feeling pretty small. We get out, but trying to get any work done in that small space is getting really hard. And so I've retreated to my car for a little while. I don't know about you, but for me, the car offers a space of quiet. Unless I roll up the windows and play some music and sing along, it's a space where I can come away. And it's been needed. The truth is, I've been connecting a lot with the disciples this week as they are lost and confused, and they're trying to figure out if it's safe to go outside and what they should be doing next. And we've been trying this week as a family to name those hard feelings and acknowledge them before you can make room for anything else, like long division or a report that has to be done. You have to say those feelings out loud and get them out. And I think that's where Jesus met the disciples on the road. They were discussing all the things that had happened in those days that had led up to their walk to Emmaus. And Jesus doesn't show up and say, "Hey guys, I'm here, everything's going to be fine." Jesus shows up and listens. And he says, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Are you the only one who doesn't know all the things that have happened?" And Jesus just says, "What things?" And he lets them talk about what they need to wonder about and be frustrated and afraid about and share. And they share with this stranger on the road all the things that had happened. They share their dreams. We had hoped he was the one that would redeem Israel. And now they don't know. They share their confusion. The women were at the tomb and they saw angels, they said, and we went back, but we didn't see anything. Jesus meets them where they are, and he's gentle with them. And he explains what led up to where they are before he shares who he is. He explains, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, all the things that were written about Jesus in the scriptures. And I think that in meeting the disciples where they were and listening to them about what they needed and what was worrying them and what their dreams were, they told him everything. And then he had a chance to share with them all about himself. One of the things that was pointed out to me about this story by a friend this week is that Jesus revealed himself differently every time that he revealed himself to the disciples. It was different at the tomb with the women. It was different on the road with Cleopas and the other disciple. There was a different way that he revealed himself in the upper room with all of the disciples except for Thomas. Jesus always showed up, always in unexpected ways. And Jesus showed up in the ways that those people needed him to show up. My friend said, you can't look for God to show up the same way every time. And in these days especially, we have to look for God in every nook and cranny. My friend said, there is no recipe of how to get God to show up. Wouldn't that be a great YouTube video? But God is so much more creative than that. It's never the same way because everybody needs that connection in a different way. And we can't depend on things happening the way they have before because right now we need something very different. I think that in the middle of something really hard, it's hard to, nothing can come in when you are in such a place of grief and fear and confusion. You're not able to interact with anything else, with what other people are saying, with deadlines, with what you should be doing, with homework, any of those things. When you are in such a place of grief and confusion, you're frozen. I think that I am choosing to keep my eyes closed right now about how long this is going to last, about how many lives are lost every single day from COVID and from a million other things, because it's just too much to take in all at once. I'm talking with my friends. I'm trying to make sense of things in small chunks. How to Zoom youth group, how to edit sermon videos so the volume levels are better than they were last week. I doubt that my eyes would be open if Jesus showed up right in the middle of my anxiety attack about walking the dog or going down the grocery aisle in my masks and gloves with my list and my Lysol. Sometimes our eyes remain closed because we can't handle the whole picture at once. When Jesus tells Thomas, "Blessed are those that have not seen and come to believe," he's talking to all the disciples. He's talking to all of us. But when he sat down at table with Cleopas and the other disciples, and he took the bread and he blessed it and he broke it and gave it to them, their eyes were opened. And even though it's evening, and even though they haven't eaten the bread that Christ just broke for them, they got up and they went back on that same road. Imagine the difference this time. On the way to Emmaus, they were grief-stricken. They were lost and confused. Now, they don't even feel hungry or tired. I see their eyes lit up with the excitement and the joy, excitedly talking all the way back to that little room upstairs in Jerusalem. I wonder if the door was locked when they got there, if they had to beat on the door loudly when they reached it. I wonder if fear filled the other disciples as they went to open the door. Now they have that same light in their eyes that the women had in their eyes this morning. And when they get to that little room, the other disciples are saying, "The Lord has risen. He appeared to Simon." Now they're finally starting to believe it, because now they have seen, they have experienced that connection and that relationship. Even in the midst of the uncertainty of those days, when they didn't know if they would be arrested, even in the confusion of he's risen, but he keeps disappearing on us, there's still such excitement being rekindled in following Jesus. Even in the midst of our uncertain days, in the mix of news reports and making sure everything, and I mean everything, is on your list before you suit up to go to the grocery store, even in the midst of the loneliness and the fear, when the moments break in and we see a glimpse of Christ, throw your arms around that moment with both arms, like the hugs that you can't wait to give one another. Let your eyes be filled with the remembering. Like the women remembered all that Jesus had said in Galilee. And in those small moments, when we catch a glimpse of God in our midst, may your eyes and your heart be opened to the connection and the joy that is ours.